Guys, what is going on? Welcome back to the channel. We are moments away or days away from making our very first signing of this summer transfer window. It will be Enzo Maresca's first signing as well. It looks to be Tosin from Fulham, a centre-back on a free transfer. Now, first things first, we need to discuss what that means. What does that mean for Chelsea Football Club? Who's leaving, considering we're already signing another centre-back? And for me, it screams that Trevor Chalobah isn't going to be at Chelsea Football Club for very long. However, it could mean that quite simply, Thiago Silva's just being replaced. It's a number for a number. It's a free transfer. There's no outgoings on this. It's pretty reasonable. And in terms of what we're getting as a player, I can live with it. I think I can. I think that this could be a signing that proves to be quite shrewd, smart business. And I think if you look at the team that we're about to pip to the post on signing him, which is Newcastle United, I'd suggest it's a pretty good move, because we all know that Newcastle in recent years, or since their takeover, their recruitment's been pretty spot on. So I like that Chelsea have gone for this. It seems like it's another hijacking. Are Chelsea really doing any work, or are we just waiting for other teams to act? I'm not so sure. But look, it makes a lot of sense for him. It makes a lot of sense that he doesn't have to relocate very far. He's obviously from Manchester, but he's probably living in London. He's at Fulham. We all know how close the training grounds are, the playing grounds, the stadiums are. Not playing grounds. Anyway, it makes a lot of sense. It seems like a pretty logical move. Is he good enough for Chelsea Football Club, though? That's what we need to discuss. Let me know your thoughts in the comments down below. Do you think this is a good signing for Chelsea Football Club? If you're new to the channel, make sure to subscribe. We're on the road to 3,000 subscribers. And make sure to drop a like on the video. Let's see if we can get 20 likes on this for the new signing that Chelsea Football Club might make. There's also other news as well that I wanted to bring to you. We have got potentially a big name signing on the horizon, which would be, for me, interesting and the right type of move for Chelsea Football Club right now. And that would be that Chelsea Football Club have submitted a bid. Apparently, there is concrete interest for Benjamin Sesko. Now, we've seen him come and play at Stamford Bridge. He visited Stamford Bridge a few seasons ago for Red Bull Salzburg, I believe. I was there. I've watched him play. He didn't do a lot, but looked like a good player for a very, very young age. He's then gone on to have a fairly quiet start to last season, but wasn't getting many minutes at RB Leipzig in Germany. And he finished the season in outstanding form. 7 consecutive games with a goal. He finished in a really, really good patch of form. He finished looking like a clinical striker. He finished looking like the player that everyone's been hyping him up to be for a couple of seasons now. And yesterday, I was talking about him going to Arsenal and how I felt like it wouldn't be the right move for Arsenal to go and sign him. And I almost don't think that it would be, but apparently that could be his preferred destination, and we might have to battle it out with Arsenal. But what I will say is, do I think that it's a good move for Chelsea Football Club? Yes, I do. I really think with the way this club is heading and the way that things have been recently, if we were to really be interested in Benjamin Sesko, then I could definitely live with that. I feel like him and Jackson would complement each other. He's a big guy, but a good mover, great on the ball, and a very clinical finisher. If you go and look at his highlights and you look back a few seasons, there are some absolute weldies in there as well. I've watched a bit of him this season, and albeit, I'll be honest, I watched him against Real Madrid, and he failed to deliver. He flattered to deceive. I didn't feel like he was that good, but he hadn't played a lot of minutes by then. He was sort of in and out of the team, and Openda was getting minutes, and he didn't look that great either. And it's tough to go and perform against Real Madrid, isn't it? It takes a serious player to be at that level. So it'll be interesting to see how this sort of develops. So watch this space. But Tosin looks like it's a lot more concrete interest, to be honest with you. So let me know your thoughts in the comments down below on your thoughts on whether or not this is the right type of move for Chelsea Football Club. I'm wanting to talk about how I feel this affects the current playing squad. Because albeit when a player comes in, it normally means that either someone's moving on or it means they're replacing someone. And with this one, I feel like it might do both. I really feel like we could potentially see Thiago Silva's replacement in Tosin, not in terms of ability, but in terms of a man for the squad. That's what I feel like's being done here. Like I said, it's a reasonably priced deal for Chelsea Football Club to get this done. His wage demands aren't going to be horrific. They're not going to be ridiculous. And ultimately, he's an okay player who's homegrown. We can tick that box here. He's played for Manchester City. He's played for Fulham. They're both teams that have a lot of possession. They're teams that focus on building out from the back. And I think that would be an interesting move for him to come in under Maresca. And we see what this is about. Do I think Maresca's had any input on this one? No, I don't. I think this was happening whether Maresca was Chelsea manager or not. Do I think that he's going to be good enough for Chelsea? Well, yeah, I do. And I also think one massive thing about him is that he's a very, very tall player. He's very physical as well, but he's also very tidy on the ball. He's very technical. He's come through Manchester City's academy. That's what Chelsea need right now. We absolutely need a defender that is good on the ball, and we also need height in our team dramatically throughout the defense. I feel like our defense is weak, and sometimes it lacks physicality through the majority of them. I think also not saying anything really against him because he never let it affect him. But Thiago Silva was only 5'10", and Thiago Silva ultimately is a player that I would rather have in my Chelsea squad than not. But to replace him with someone who's almost another foot and on top of him is fantastic. Not saying he's 6'10", but believe me, Tosin is very, very tall, and a good mover for his height as well. And I think he's been steady at Fulham, and hopefully he can sort of come in. What I do think this does is potentially spell the end for Trevor Chalobah, which pains me to say. So we'll focus on that in a second. Just want to read this out. Dan Knight says, who do you prefer to be Chelsea striker, Sesko, Victor Gyökeres to lead Chelsea? To be honest with you, I think Gyökeres is obviously proven himself he's proven himself in the Championship. He's proved himself in Portugal now. And I'm intrigued to see how his career develops. I feel like he looks like a good player. And I think I'd probably be open to him coming. The issue I have is Gyökeres would cost a lot of money. And I don't know if I've got it in me to watch Chelsea spend a lot of money on another striker and it really not work. I've got to be honest. I don't know if I can live with it again. And whereas if you go and look at someone like Sesko, the risk is relatively small. It's another potential type of player, but the way he's finished the season is also very strong as well. I think something about me potentially wants Chelsea not to go and splash the amount of money it might cost to buy Gyökeres, to be honest with you. Dark Web here says he'd rather cheap options than £100 million strikers. Look, there's something to be said about that, isn't there? Because when you go and sign a player for not a lot of money and they perform, it makes you feel like, okay, yeah, someone's really done their job there in terms of the scouts. And I think back to Cole Palmer, there wasn't a lot of hype around him coming to Chelsea, to be honest with you. And look at the season he went on to have. He also says Toby or Garassi. Sorry, I think he means Tony, but yeah. So to be honest, they're players that I think could do a job for Chelsea right now. I think Ivan Toney more so. Garassi, look, he's had a fantastic season for Stuttgart in the Bundesliga. Was it Stuttgart? Yeah. But I don't think... I'm not sure whether or not we take the risk on him, if I'm being completely honest with you. Maybe Chelsea Football Club have to be a little bit patient here and sort of wait for that market to develop a little bit more if they can't secure Sesko. However, I do feel that bringing in some sort of striker to kind of aid the fight wouldn't be the worst thing. Maybe you go and look at getting like Callum Wilson on the cheap to just sit in on the bench, play when he's available. Ivan Toney on the cheap if he's available. He could potentially play a little bit more than Callum Wilson, I think. But these are the type of players that they're not going to change the team drastically. They're going to come in and do a job, and I think they'd be okay. I think Ivan Toney's really not got up to the heights that he did the season before last. And I think he'd be a good option. I don't think he'd be the absolute answer to Chelsea going and returning to Champions League football, to be honest with you. But I feel like these players are the sort of player that you can sort of rely upon for a couple of seasons as a good player to come off the bench, a good player to potentially have a bit of an impact when you need them to, if available. I'm not sure what the right option is for Chelsea Football Club. What I do know is that we definitely need to recruit in this area. So hopefully we go and make something happen. Now, some of you might say, oh, what do you want Callum Wilson for? What do you want Ivan Toney for? They've not been good enough. I hear that, but they're 10-goal a season strikers when available. And I think if Chelsea could add another 10 goals with Conference League football potentially, with fighting on the domestic front again for competitions, it would just be a useful addition to have. We had Broja last year, and he wasn't even a 5-goal a season player. And I think we ultimately need to be adding at least another 20 goals to our strike force. But look, maybe we have to be patient and assess the market, because let's be real and let's be honest here. If Chelsea go up against Arsenal for Benjamin Sesko, I don't think he's going Arsenal. I don't think he's going Chelsea. I don't, unless we pay way over the odds in terms of his contract. He'd probably be more likely to go to Arsenal, where he feels like they might go and push on to win the league. So let me know your thoughts. Any random names you want to throw in? Yeah, look, I don't disagree, Gerald. I feel like Toney wouldn't be good enough to be the main number 9. I really don't. I think that would be an interesting one, to be honest with you. I think probably more around the 10-goal a season mark, maybe pushing 15 with penalties, something like that. But is it useful for the team? Yes, of course. Another 15 goals in the team is useful, but is it the real answer that we want? Do we want a player that's going to be closer to 30 goals a season, 25 goals a season? That would be what I'd like to see, I think. Dan Knight says, would you take Michael Elise at Chelsea over Sterling? Well, I've got to be honest with you. I've heard the links about Michael Elise. I'm not sure how concrete they are. If I'm being completely honest, I think Michael Elise could go and play Champions League football. And the fact that he's been it with Chelsea, I don't know. I don't know where this is coming from. I understand there's links with Joe Shields, and a couple of rumours have kind of come out the woodwork because of that reason. However, Michael Elise could probably get a move to PSG and it wouldn't be a shock. Michael Elise could probably go and play for Manchester City and you wouldn't be surprised. If he ends up going to Chelsea, we've done extremely well, because he's a very, very good player. Yes, he struggled with some injuries in the last couple of seasons, but you can't deny that the output that he's put up is fantastic. And what a player he is. He's obviously not going to the Euros with France, I don't believe. So there's time here to act and get a move done. So, yeah, of course I'd take him. The issue is he doesn't play on the same side as Sterling, really. Sterling's played an awful lot of his time at Chelsea off the left. And I don't think he's the answer on the left-hand side. We've not seen enough of him to suggest that he would be the answer coming in off the left. So I think realistically, he'd be coming in on the right. He'd probably be the improvement and the elevation needed for Madueke and that side of things. The only worry I'd have is whether him and Cole Palmer sort of contradict each other a little bit and would get in each other's way if Cole Palmer was to play off towards the right as well, where he's found a lot of success this season. You'd hope that actually both of them could work together really well. Elise is a very talented footballer. And if Chelsea make that happen for, I'd even say up to about 60 million, I could live with that. I really could. Another one here as well is Dan that says, would you sell Sterling? I think for the right price. I think Chelsea would be silly not to sell Sterling if someone's willing to pay wages that he's happy with and it's a move that works out. So that'll be interesting to see how that goes, to be honest. Yeah, I think people are saying here that Cole Palmer would most likely be a 10. I think you're right. Sorry, it's getting really bright. But I think you're probably correct in thinking that next season we'll probably see that. But we're all sort of unaware as how it's going to look. In Pochettino's system, we may have suggested that, hang on, let me just sort this out. In Pochettino's system, we might have suggested that it was obvious. With everything changing, to be honest with you, in terms of Maresca coming in, we're unsure of how he sees this Chelsea team and its best fit, his best 11, who plays where. We just don't know, to be honest. But And Kunku Mudryk out on the left, Parmakani and Elise Madueke. And you know what? I hear you on that. And I think genuinely that seems really well balanced. The issue is, though, going forwards is Chelsea have signed so many right wingers. There's rumours that Esteval Willian is going to come in. Esteval William, sorry. Kendry Paez. We've got Amari Hutchinson. Sorry, there's so many. I'm just trying to remember them all. Who's the other guy at Strasbourg as well? Angelo. There's so many that it almost becomes so chaotic and unplanned that you wonder where to make sense of it, to be honest. But for me, the biggest issue would be that realistically, if Elise is going to come in, he would have to be managed right by our physios and by our medical staff, because he missed a lot of time at Palace. He was obviously mismanaged as well. There was miscommunication in terms of his fitness, probably. And he got injured straight away, didn't he, after coming back from a slight knock. And ultimately that was a mistake, and Palace ended up losing him for a while. But under Glasner, we've seen him kind of stay a little bit more consistent. So hopefully that would be something that Chelsea could look at and potentially work out. But I'm sure all of you guys agree. You don't 100% take Elise. So yeah, if you'd like to see Chelsea Football Club sign an Elise, make sure to drop a like on this video. Let's get it up to 20, 25 likes. That would be fantastic. Let me know your thoughts, guys, because obviously we started the stream and at the top of it, we were speaking about Tosin coming to Chelsea. What do we think? Is this a good move? Do you get excited by this deal, or is it just one of those that you think, okay, it's a good free transfer. It covers our backs for a season. We don't have to go and recruit another centre-back. What do you think? Are you happy with him coming in? Do you think Chelsea could do better? Is he good enough for Chelsea? I'll be honest, I've seen a bit. For me, he looks like he's a squad player. I absolutely don't expect to see him starting. If he does, he's done very well for himself. I'll be honest. But I think for the busy sort of fixture schedule that we have next season, I just don't think Chelsea can survive without having the amount of centre-backs they had this season because of injuries. Wesley Fofana, there's absolutely no guarantee he plays. Badashile, Dazassi, Levi Colwell, Trevor Chalobah, he's probably gone as well. So what, you're on 4, 5? It's looking a bit messy, to be honest with you. And if we're getting injuries, you might be down to 2 centre-backs pretty rapidly. So let's see how that one works out. It'll be interesting, but I think if you can get it done on a free, he probably comes in at a level similar to or just below Trevor Chalobah, if we're being realistic, even though I think Trevor's been very, very good. Maybe his level might be closer to Dazassi. Who knows? Yeah, I think Dan Knight's making a point here that Conference League games next season could be the ones that he starts. I absolutely agree. I think we have to remember how many games we might end up playing next season. And the amount of injuries we had this season, yeah, it's absolutely critical and crucial, that we are having enough players that can stay fit and maintain fitness throughout the season. Dark Web says, Fofana, never trust him. Dazassi's not good enough. 2 centre-backs needed. Fofana, I'd never trust in terms of him staying fit. That's the issue, which is such a shame, because for such a good player, I really did think that he was going to be in Chelsea's defence for years to come. And I felt like he'd get a few years of experience playing alongside Thiago Silva and we'd reap the rewards. Obviously, that's not happened, and it's sad to see. But yeah, that would be, for me, probably the best approach. I think, if I'm being honest, it's harsh on Dazassi to say that he's not good enough, because I think Dazassi could do a job as a squad player. I really do. I think he could play in those games where we might be in the Conference League, or we might have like a League Cup game, and we ultimately need to rotate. I think it's not worth moving Dazassi on, especially not this summer, because we've already going to potentially lose 2 centre-backs. I think it would be better to keep him around. There were times last season where you can't deny he did a job, and there were times last season where he sort of struggled. So I think for now, we keep Dazassi. He's a winner. He wants to win. And I feel like that's something that Chelsea don't have enough of at the moment, and we haven't done for a while. So, look, I'm not saying we go and sell him, but to suggest that 2 centre-backs are needed, I'd probably agree with that because I feel like this isn't the end of the departures for the centre back. So, what do you think? Do you think Trevor Chalobah is gone if Tosin arrives at Chelsea? Uh, Dan Knight says we must win Conference League next season. So Chelsea wins every single European trophy. We absolutely we could be the first team in a whatever to win every single trophy. That would be absolutely fantastic. So yeah, I'd be over the moon if Chelsea Football Club could go and win the Conference League. I feel like for Enzo Maresca coming in, what a way to sort of announce yourself on the European circuit of managers, and the press and people would get behind him if he could go and win a trophy like that. Definitely. It got enough coverage of Olympiacos winning it. So if Chelsea are in there, it would add even more coverage to that competition. We are absolutely the biggest club going into that competition as well. But his first games, probably early on, are going to be navigating the qualifiers in August, which we have to make sure we win. I think if Chelsea lose those, it'll be a horrific start for the new manager coming in. We've not really had a chat about it. I've literally just dropped a video on the channel now, but what are your thoughts with Maresca? Do you feel like Enzo Maresca is the option you wanted? Do you feel like this is a good appointment for Chelsea? Do you think that Chelsea Football Club could ultimately improve on Pochettino by hiring Maresca, or should we have improved on Pochettino by hiring a bigger name? What do you think? Because I'm not sold, if I'm being completely honest with you, that he's the best option for Chelsea Football Club right now. Let me know your thoughts. Dark Web says, Chalobah, I'd keep him. He's better than most of our centre back. I don't disagree. I absolutely don't disagree. I think since he came back and sort of settled into the time this season, Trevor Chalobah's been fantastic. He's been our best defender in terms of central defenders. And I feel like letting him go would be, for the price, would be some pretty poor business. I think it would be an act of desperation, to be honest with you, because they'd rather have players like Disasi at the club than Trev, who is Chelsea through and through, and obviously shown that he's at a good enough level to be playing for Chelsea week in, week out. And you can't deny it. When Trevor Chalobah's been fit and he's been in the side, he absolutely has got results. Chelsea's record with him in the side is pretty good. And we're talking all the way back through to Lampard's era and things like that as well. So, guys, there's a few people in here. Let's make sure to drop the likes as well. Let's try and build that up. Like I said, I want to try and get 20 likes. So if you're watching and you haven't hit the thumbs up button, make sure to do it. Let's smash the likes on the video. Like I said, let me know your thoughts on Maresca. Let me know your thoughts on any players that you think Chelsea should be signing. There's rumours to suggest that Sesko and Chelsea Football Club is now concrete interest, if I can get my words out. And it looks like Tosin, we're going to hijack that deal and nip him from Newcastle United, which I think would absolutely be a smart bit of business for Chelsea to just get that done early and make sure that we're covered in that area. His injury record, I mean, I'll be honest with you, I haven't actually had a look at his injury record. We should probably check this out, because I feel like this is going to be important for Chelsea players that we're signing, that we absolutely need to make sure that we're signing players with pretty good injury records, to be honest with you, because we don't want to see more players missing games. So let's have a look. Bear with me 2 seconds. It's here somewhere. Wait. Stats, injury history. Right. Okay. Let's have a look. So, see if I can bring it up. Bear with me 2 seconds. I'm going to try and add this in. There we go. That isn't what I want. How do I want it? Like that? There we go. Right. Okay. So, if we're looking at his injury history, he has had last season groin surgery. So, he didn't play up till November. He missed 90 days. Oh, what's happened here? Have I frozen? Maybe. Oh. Not good. My chat. I am here, but the camera's stopped. Technical issues. Bear with me. Okay, we've lost the camera. Not good. So I understand. I'm going to end. Guys, I'm going to end the stream. We've lost the camera and it doesn't seem to be coming back. So I'm going to end the stream, fix it, and launch it back.